Hi.
Hi.
Hey everyone, I'm here with Chetna. We're going to start with just a little grounding prayer moment and then go from there.
I'm gonna light a candle. We can light one together. And I'm gonna take 3 deep breaths, exhaling with a sigh.
Mm. Ooh.
May this time and conversation be for the highest good. May it shed light on corners of my and our realities, dreams, psyches, if it must. And may it be a time that is generative and ripples out in love, peace, and freedom.
I'm calling in support to really be attuned to integrity, grace, benevolence, compassion amidst all of the things that are happening and will happen. And welcoming in any patron of friendship, collaboration, and co creation.
And so it is.
Maybe we can do, doesn't have to be a formal introduction, but introducing who's here, like where we are right now and what we're bringing into this space.
Do you want to start?
Yeah. I'm Rishi. I feel calm. When I had my eyes closed and we were holding our candles, I was imagining that we were in like a vast chamber that was made of stone, like one of those temples in South India. It's entirely made of stone. And the two candles that we were holding were sort of echoed and mirrored by rows and circles of candles all around.
Mm.
It's really beautiful to be together in that. And so I feel peaceful and chill. Excited. We've been anticipating doing this for more than a month. We had to move it. So there's like this buzzing. I'm like, I don't even know what's here this time because it's been a while since we talked about it. Yeah.
Thanks, Rishi. Yeah, I'm Chetna. I feel really calm too. I feel very trusting. I feel very curious. And then when I was speaking out the words as a prayer after I lit the candle and we were holding our candles, I sort of felt like I don't know where those words came from, like I use many of those words often, but it almost felt like a very deeply grooved neural pathway where I don't have to really think about it. And I appreciate that. Yeah, it just feels like a channel. It's kind of how I want to live my my life a lot of times, like not having to think really hard about stuff or premeditate stuff and trust the flow and trust that the flow will be enough always. So that's kind of where I'm at. Which feels good.
Can I ask what else is coming through that channel right now?
It has to do with what I've sort of been sitting with recently, and that is a takeaway that actually came from the Arts Jam. A takeaway from the Arts Jam recently was that boredom is an ally to creativity. And I love that you smile at that because you know.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've kind of been exploring. Hi, Marisa. I've sort of been exploring what that really actually means,
Mhm.
especially when boredom seems like not only a privilege, but it can seem like an irresponsibility to be bored when there's so much to do and when there's so much urgency and uncertainty. So, yeah, I've been contemplating what boredom as an ally to creativity actually means. And I think it is very much related to creating open space and prioritizing open space and emptiness for my creative muses to speak and sing and explore.
Mm.
And it requires a lot of patience because they don't move at the pace of my logical brain.
I grew up as a child feeling really bored all the time. Like not it's not just feeling really bored, just expressing I was bored. I, the way they used to say they would just be like, be bored. But that
Your
was
parents?
I go to my parents. In Tamil, the way you say I'm bored is you say bore adikaruthu, which is kind of like saying boredom is hitting me. And
Wow.
to be like, sari marubadiyum bore adi, which is like hit the bore back.
Wow.
But it was like both answers are the same, have the same energy, which is like, I can't help you with that. Like it's like a personal thing. And I didn't, it took me until maybe this year to start to feel like boredom was information for other stuff.
That's also interesting because in that framing, there's also a sense that boredom is attacking. Like there's an attack of boredom.
Yeah.
And it's so
Yeah.
funny because I'm writing a Substack essay about this as I process what it actually means. And I literally started off saying, as a kid, I would always nag to my mom, I'm bored, like
Wow.
sounding an alarm, like I'm having like a really painful toothache.
A boredom attack.
And that it was always something bad, even as a kid. Like I didn't understand how I internalized this idea that boredom is bad even as a kid and why it felt so excruciating and frustrating to be bored.
I'm like, where did I even learn that word? Boredom. Yeah. Well, there's another thing about it, which is like boredom is also kind of like being still. Like it requires, like, I don't know, I guess I'm thinking about it in the frame of addiction, like seeking stimulus by doing stuff, scrolling, drinking, pursuing sex, being, whatever, making loud noises, whatever it is, it's a way to avoid um, the thing that's happening right now. And oh, I'm eating. A lot of bored eating.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, bored scrolling, bored chasing, bored pursuing, bored fantasizing. Yeah, there's a lot. And actually, I love that you brought it up in relation to addiction because I resonate with that. I think a lot of times when I used to be smoking a lot of weed, I'd be doing it because I thought I was bored or because I wanted to escape some sense of emptiness. Where actually now, over the last few years, when I lean into the emptiness, which isn't always. Sometimes I'm still avoiding it. But when I lean into it, there's always something interesting there. Like there's always something there. And I feel it in my body. Like when I make the U-turn, even into my body to feel the sensations of boredom or restlessness or even frustration or achiness, I do access like wells and shivers and waves of something or another. I don't always make that U-turn, but
I think that's related to what I mean when I say that boredom is information. Like it's like this is actually it's asking me to slow down more so that I can um, better witness or receive or evoke what's there that might not be easy, that for whatever reason it's not easy for me to feel or understand in myself.
John O'Donohue, who is, an ancestor, philosopher, poet, who I just love so much. I turn to his writing a lot when it comes to longing and belonging. And he writes about how boredom is the veil between like stimulation and our inner music. So when we're tapping into something that's deeper, known as inner music, we'll reach the veil of boredom.
Oh wow. Yeah, boredom is the threshold. Like
Exactly.
we must cross over portal.
Yes.
I said boredom and portal together. Portal.
Portal.
Yeah, wow. Well, this brings me just feels like it's relevant to the thing that I thought we would be talking about when we first scheduled this, which is um, being in collaboration with the divine and trusting, building trust with the channel. There's something you said at your event that I attended for the um, coloring book. What, wait, I'm gonna get it. Um, Cultivating compassion in times of fascism. Nice. Cultivating compassion. That was like you hosted this talk and we colored from the book and you mentioned multiple times about the experience of learning what to do next through that channel. Um, and I remember you said something like, I always make sure to like, even if I just write it down, like I just for in whatever way honoring that what the information that comes from that channel, it's a way of building trust and letting that divine energy know that I'm listening. That really struck me. I did start doing that. I actually would pull myself out of bed, like just to write a thing down. Like the other day, this was a month ago. Here, I wrote this: cultivating cross-cultural artistry and interspirituality across the Asian diaspora. I just I wrote that at 5 a.m. and then I went back to sleep. And it's
So
on my
funny.
desk because I was like, this is important.
Yeah.
I don't know what it means, but it's like, yeah. So yeah, wondering if there's anything about that that you want to say right now.
I'm thinking about how we let children know that we hear them, that there's space for them, you know? And maybe they come with something that doesn't really make sense. Maybe they come with chaos. Maybe they come mumbling, indecipherable, but a loving adult would get on their knees and look them in the eye and be like, I have time for you. Tell me what you want to say or express to me. I want to witness you without trying to analyze it or, invalidate it. That's how I think about how I need to treat my creative muses. And part of getting myself out of bed to let the creative muses know, oh, I hear you. Thank you for that. I don't understand it now. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with it, but I'm going to write it down, acknowledge it, let you know I hear you, and that I will mildly and sometimes dramatically inconvenience myself to be there for you, to receive your gifts, that I will even move through the achy veil of boredom
Mm.
sometimes to hear you is a way of building trust and building relationship and intimacy with my creative muses and with the divine. The creative muses are the divine to me. So yeah, this has all of it to do with each other. It's super interdependent.
It makes me think about just how kids are like really fickle. The word fickle has a negative connotation, but what I mean is things are changing all the time. And like kids can go from like, I think we all do this, but we're as adults, we're better at either working with our own energy and not sharing everything, or sometimes there's like suppression involved, but kids don't have the habit to suppress. So everything is just expressed and it's the full range. And I feel the same thing with listening to like the field or to divine energies, or I mean I have a specific relationship with the goddess Saraswati, so just listening to her and asking her for guidance. It's like what is wanted. There's like stuff that's really stable and secure, and then there's like, okay, I did that, what's next, and having to ask and not getting in my own head about what it's supposed to be. And that feels related to, we were talking earlier before we started recording, we were talking about relationships, and you had asked me about, you know, relationship sobriety and what that means to me. And I feel like it also is the same thing, which is tuning in into the connection to ask what's here right now, rather than like, what did I think I wanted to do because this is what everyone is going to ask me about if I don't do it, or like, what is the thing that I see other people doing in their relationships, or what's the dream I had since I was 5 years old, or what kind of relationship I wanted to be in. And those fantasies like inform how we whether or not we can listen. And so I think part of being able to listen, whether it's a creative practice or relationship or something else, building something else, which is all feels creative to me actually, but it just feels like it's learning to be okay with the slowdown into discomfort of I don't know. Boredom is part of, like, boredom is I don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a lot of I don't know.
Boredom sort of feels also like surrendering control to the mystery,
Hmm.
being in it, being wrapped in it, and not quite knowing, yeah, where to go. Like it sort of feels like being wrapped in the mystery like a straitjacket. It can sometimes feel like that oppressive for me, the boredom. Another thought that occurred while you were speaking around fantasy is fantasy is so incredibly creative, but the way I've noticed it coming in for me that impedes me from listening to spirit, to the creative muses, to other people is it comes in the way like judging, interpreting, fixing comes in. So maybe many of us here have heard about the jam practice of no jiffing, no judging, interpreting, fixing, or freezing somebody. I think we could add a third F in there and have it be fantasizing, no fantasizing. Because I notice or really it's projecting fantasy. Um, but yeah, I notice how I might be relating to someone and then fantasy comes in and I'm not seeing them for who they are. I'm putting a barrier between me and them through my own projections or fantasies of them. And that's part of recovery for me too, like divesting from the fantasy again and again and grounding into reality of what is, which can often feel more boring than fantasy.
Yeah. Yeah, fantasy almost feels like it exists to halt boredom.
Mm.
It's like, oh, I can't be here right now, but where I can be is like in that story of that thing. Um, Including like if I'm hanging out with somebody, this is my shit. Hang out with somebody and they're under distress, and I'm like, oh, I can, if I say the right thing or if we create the right space, they're gonna be able to have a big opening moment, and I can be quite annoying about that. Um, and instead of just being like, oh, this is what's happening, and how do I feel right now that this is happening? So it's just a way that I can avoid my own feelings.
Yeah. When you said that fantasy can be a way to halt boredom and thinking about boredom as a threshold, the the story of Mara with the Buddha came for some reason. So the story being in part, Buddha was sitting under the Bodhi tree, just about to attain enlightenment. And then Mara comes again, the demon of greed and lust and temptation to sort of lure the Buddha away. And the Buddha rests his hands on the earth and said, Earth is my witness,
Yeah.
and resists the fantasy, the urge of Mara, and becomes enlightened. Even after he's enlightened, Mara still comes, but he sits with Mara differently, or maybe the same, consistently the same, lets Mara be there without succumbing his power to the greed, lust, temptation. And so I'm thinking about being at this threshold of boredom, right? Fantasy comes in on one side of the threshold to lure me away from that veil and pull me away from it. But then on the other side of the threshold, there exists another perhaps kind of fantasy that's more rooted in innovation or creativity or radical imagination. Fantasy is so complicated because sometimes it can be very avoidant, and sometimes, and not in any binary sense, it also can be like radically imaginative, and the type of thinking I need in the times that we're in.
Yeah. I mean, what I'm hearing you say is like your projects, like if you include the coloring book, because you mentioned that being a divine collaboration, that is also a form of fantasy because it didn't exist, and then you were like, okay, there's gonna be a coloring book now, and it's gonna have this particular theme, and like these were the. I had the same experience when the course that I was working on this year, that it just came to me, or this thing I wrote that it just came to me. It's kind of a fantasy, cultivating cross-cultural artistry and interspirituality across the Asian diaspora. I don't know what this is, and it's like I have to keep like kind of pulling at it or listening, and then sometimes it's good. Part of where fantasy helps is giving it a container, like, oh, this is going to be an event or a nonprofit, or like just what, or this is going to be a conversation that I have with somebody, just giving it a home for the energy to pour into.
Yeah, another way I'm thinking of giving it a container or giving it a home is giving it legs, like grounding it, bringing it into some tangible movement. Because I could have easily, and I'm appreciating you bringing up the coloring book, because I could have easily had the download with the title and that it's going to be a coloring book. Also, what came was was a container, was a due date, right? It was like 1 month was the due date. So I didn't have time to just fantasize and dilly-dally really. But if that time frame didn't come, I could have easily just sat with the idea and talked about it and sat with it and not done anything toward it, which I do a lot with a lot of ideas, I think, but part of it was grounding it in something, starting the structure of practice, like daily, I'm going to work on one illustration, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, and that's not always clear. Not all ideas need legs or containment, but
I do still think you're honoring the idea if you're not talking about it. If you're just talking about it and you're not working on it. But it's also nice when ideas are like this should happen at this time. I think also reflects our, like, you've already made a coloring book before, and I've already done workshops and facilitation. Never in this way, but there is a way that, like, when I have an idea, the first thing I imagine is that it's an in-person experience with people because that's the modality in which I work the most. But I'm also like curious about, oh yeah, the idea doesn't need to know its modality. Sometimes it doesn't know its modality.
totally,
Yeah.
100%. And that it takes discipline to just keep hearing it, keep giving it space. I have this, I have talked about it with some people. I have this idea that definitely wants to come through. And I thought about going to grad school for it and exploring it within the container of academia, but that quickly nulled itself. But I have this idea of exploring longing as a portal. And at first, the idea came as a book, then it came as a spoken word performance, and now it's being held as like a community theater project. But that's just kind of where it's at right now. Who
Mhm.
knows what else is going to happen there? But I keep listening. I have it on my post-it. I have it on a post-it on my wall near my desk, so I see it all the time. So I'm holding space for it, even though more downloads haven't come for it or synchronicities. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I love that it just has its own, sometimes it has its own arc, multiple arcs. And yeah, I'm feeling, I was sharing with you earlier this week, I was feeling that with the men's group that I want to create. Like, I don't know if it's a men's group or if it's something else. Maybe it's just for not for me to know yet. I need to like be bored with it for a little while.
Yeah.
So we're kind of at the halfway mark. I'm wondering if we want to invite some of our, we have two amazing people here in the Zoom. If you all want to be part of it, if you want to speak and, be in the conversation, I'm just gonna make it so that anyone can unmute themselves. Let's see what happens.
Still can't unmute. There you
Okay,
go.
now I can. Can you
Marisa,
hear
can
me?
your video?
Huh?
If in your video, just means you're gonna show up on the recording.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, I unvideoed myself, or I videoed myself.
Hi.
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 I'm just moving some things out of the way. Um, yeah, I was really appreciating the conversation about boredom. And it was interesting because I actually I struggle with boredom so much as an adult. But what's wild is I was like, oh, I cannot remember being bored as a child unless it was like being taken on errands or things that I did not want to go on, like hardware store, like going to the hardware store with my dad or being taken to like an adult's house while my parents hung out with them and I had to like figure out my own situation. But I think having like a sibling um was always kind of helpful for navigating that. But as an adult, it's something that I almost feel like I long for opportunities to feel bored. And when I'm confronted with them, they're terrifying and I'm like immediately trying to fill them with something. And I think Chetna, you were saying something is like boredom, or I don't remember, or no, I guess it was like longing as avoidance, but I don't know. I think I've just even just like speaking more with you. I feel like Chet and our conversations have talked a lot about like this avoidance dynamic and how it plays out in ourselves and our relationships with others. And yeah, I think I'm just like really attuned to that now more is like, what am I trying to avoid? When the thing that I long for is actually spaciousness to be with myself and to sort of see boredom as a portal, like you were saying, or she, and let things come through. Because I think it is really like sacred time. But then feeling terrified of that and wanting to fill it with things and plans and other activities that yeah, just other activities. So yeah, thanks for letting me share that as I'm still kind of like cooking and marinating on everything that you all are sharing.
Thanks for sharing. You can stay unmuted as long as you want, and whenever you're done being up here, you can just be like, I'm done. Oh, here.
Okay.
Yeah, it's so interesting how the things based on what you shared and me relating, like the things that I long for and what I heard you say you long for, it's like and I long so much for the magic on the other side of the threshold of boredom, right? The spaciousness, the serenity, the peace, the quiet sometimes, the like creative communion, the connection to sacredness, connection to myself, all of that I long for, and um it can be so scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking from what you said, Marisa, I was thinking about boredom as a mask. Like, what if it's something else? And then I went back to that childhood moment where I go to my one of my parents and I'm like, I'm bored. And I think of course, no 3-year-old is going to talk like this, but I think what I was trying to say is I want connection. Like I want to hang out with you. And then something about there's like longing, there's like desire, there's want, and like, hearing you talk about like, oh, I feel like I wasn't like I feel like I'm not allowed to be bored or like I'm not able to. Yeah, there's something about that that's like, oh, this I don't know. I don't have the words right now, but something about what's inaccessible to us at various times is also related to what was inaccessible to us when we were children.
Hmm. That really touches me, just imagining that what you were really saying as a 3-year-old, and probably what I was probably also saying too, is like, I want connection. And when I feel bored now, that is still relevant. And
Yeah.
it's not always connection with other people. It's often connection with myself or connection with the sacred or connection with inspiration, connection with rest. Um,
Mhm.
there's still a desire for connection in my boredom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just kind of trying to really feel like what you said, Rishi, like in my body and memory in my body. But I also wonder if I think there were so many, I think from an early age, connection with parents was not an option often. And so I feel like whether it was just me or me and my sister learning how to occupy ourselves with things like games or reading or um yeah um drawing or just like activities and yeah, I'm just really sitting with that too and trying to like think about or like feel that.
Yeah, this is giving me a new meaning to the phrase occupy yourself.
Mm.
Like occupying myself can be a way to
Mm.
be busy or to be, I don't know. It's just like I'm just all I can hear in my head is, oh, it's a way to avoid occupy myself to avoid what's here, what's at the
Mm.
surface.
That's interesting because when you said you're thinking about it in a new way, I thought about like like body scanning and really noticing all the different sensations from the tips of my toes to the tip of my head. And like that feels like an occupation of self, like literally feeling every inch of my body through my observation. And that's been a practice that I was reminded of in my therapy recently as I've been noticing my anxious attachment patterns, is to make this U-turn back to myself. So rather than looking outward at this other person or at the situation, which relates to boredom, right? I feel bored and then I'm like, I want this to entertain me. I want to be with this person. I want to be in this situation. Rather than looking outward, it's like turning back inward and noticing and occupying myself through my awareness of like, what's actually happening here? Oh, I feel a pit in my stomach. Oh, and I breathe and continue to observe the pit in my stomach, it then morphs into like a tightness in my chest and oh, and then it's pulsing and then oh, and then I feel like a knot in my throat and oh, it makes me want to like hum or like scream and oh, maybe when I do that, there's like something else that happens. So really like experiencing my body as a form of occupying myself.
Mm.
Yeah, I like what you're talking about because it makes me think about meditation and breath. Like having specific meditation techniques and practices helps me to not, like if I have extra time, I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna notice my breath. And that's different from doing nothing or being bored. Like being bored feels like wallowing or sort of like looking for the avoidant, like, oh, I'm bored, let me start scrolling, or I'm bored, let me eat something. But then it's like, let me occupy myself with a meditation practice, and suddenly there's more intimacy with my own body and my own experience. Different kind of occupation.
Something occurred to me that feels vulnerable and personal to share, but it also feels so related and like to normalize this. So I'm, how do I start this? So I'm noticing that there are certain parts of my body that when I do a body scan, it's very hard for me to stay present with. It's very hard for me. So as soon as I get to that part, I'm already wandering, right? When I get to that part, and for me, it's my pelvis area and my sacral, my root and sacral chakras, uh, are sites where I eventually come up to and my mind wanders. So it very much feels like I'm coming up to this threshold that when I get there, my brain wants me to take me far away from it. And a lot of times when I go to sleep, I'm like, I'm just going to focus on the sensations in my sacral root chakras, and I'll often fall asleep. That's how I fall asleep very effectively, actually. And it's just in the context of this conversation, it's making me realize that there is a threshold there that I'm sure on the other side of it, there's so much, probably part of awareness of the trauma that keeps me from feeling all the sensations here. And that's really scary. But through my own study and learning from various like tantra practitioners or sexuality practitioners, the more, where our attention goes, energy flows. So I'm going to continue to give my attention to these parts of my body, and eventually energy will flow. Um, but that energy flow will happen on the other side of a threshold, which looks like boredom, looks like wandering mind, looks like falling asleep. Right. So I'm just putting that in the context of this conversation, and I'm really interested about how there's a threshold here that I want to cross, that I will when my body is ready, perhaps.
Mm. Wow.
Thanks for sharing that, Chetna. I feel I have the exact same situation. This morning, I received a somatics coaching session, and what we were exploring was how it's really hard for me to be in my lower body. It almost feels like, and I feel like there might be somebody watching this for whom being in my lower body makes no fucking sense what that means. Because I remember the first time a coach, this was more than 5 years ago, before I started training to be a coach myself. I had a coach who was like, "What does this feel like in your body?" And I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about? What does that mean to be in your body? I'm in my body right now." So I think there's like another element of like, what does it actually mean to occupy and like bring my attention to the sensations? I think maybe to say is bring my attention and being able to stay with the sensations that are present in the lower body, and being able to discern and um, experience the sensorium of that part of that region or the regions. And yeah, I described it today as like trying to hold an inflated ball underwater. And my
Mm.
attention would just keep coming up. Like it really wants to be around here.
Mm.
And I think that in particular, the pelvis is a place that has a lot of charge for me. I noticed that when I spend more time in my pelvis and I'm like moving from that place and occupying that energy, and it's really what it is like engaging with what's pleasurable and talking in ways that bring up pleasure and conveying and making invitations that might create pleasure for myself and others. That just There's so much shame that starts to mushroom up in other parts of my sensorium. So it's like, whoa, I'm like having to do it's like a little bit of extra reshifting to spend time there. So it's just funny to hear you say this just as today I was exploring it, and I decided that I'm going to try to be in my pelvis for the rest of this call.
Just really diving in to the practice.
Yeah, publicly practicing.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, there's such pleasure centers. So when you said that it's really about being open to feeling pleasure, that hits, because I also notice how it does relate to so many aspects of my life, even relationally, like receiving love, receiving praise, receiving, um, warmth, abundance. It relates to all of that for me. That my nervous system can only receive so much before it like kind of closes in on itself or wants to contract. And I've been actively in community and in different spaces, like blooming a little bit more before I contract, understanding that that's going to be happening, but to keep blooming more so that I can expand capacity to receive. And I
Yeah.
think so much of it has to do with root sacral
Mm.
chakras.
What are you longing for with your blooming, Chetna?
Hmm. Hmm. I don't really know how to answer that question. Besides more of what I'm already receiving,
Yeah.
like more love, more connection, more intimacy, which is really interesting because it also illuminates how I'm already receiving so much of it and giving so much of it. So
Yeah.
what's happening for me is it's like a light was shining this way towards what I think I'm longing for, and then it turned to with your question, it turned towards it, and then the thing was like, oh, like it's kind of like I don't know what I'm longing for.
Yeah, I don't know how to label how you were embodying that, but I'm like, was it like shyness or like a like something to do with being on stage?
Yeah, like it was like I kind of got shy and like called out where it's like you long for something implies that something's missing for me sometimes, and it showed that there's nothing missing.
You were the one who actually presenced for me. This was must be 6 or 7 months ago. How longing, maybe a year, more than a year ago, how longing itself is um, a delicious sensation to be savored. Like
Mm.
like I might have seen previously, might have thought of longing as a pathway to like help me understand what I want and get what I want. But what if longing was in fact the what if longing was candy and I could just enjoy it? I feel like maybe more it's like a hot chocolate. Uh, uh yeah, like a spiced tea. I am gonna go get hot chocolate after this, I think.
Well, sounds really nice. I might join you from afar. It's kind of like bitter hot chocolate, I feel like, for
Uh-huh.
me. Like it's very
Mhm.
bitter. It requires me to acclimate my taste buds to it. If I'm used to the sugariness of hot chocolate, like standard hot chocolate, when I first try this, I'm gonna be like, ugh, I don't like it. But the more I do it, the more I have it, the more I allow myself to savor it. I acclimate myself to it. And that's the similar U-turn, right? Longing does move me to chase what I'm longing for if I'm focused outwardly. But when I come back to myself, and this word U-turn I learned from, again, recovery community actually, and somatic therapy community, making the U-turn back to self and what the sensations of longing are in my body, that's when it becomes candy in like the most nourishing, generative way.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's when it becomes like a sweet fruit that
Mm.
has many seeds.
Yeah. Just like boredom.
Yeah.
Marketing thing of boredom as being candy, and that just reflects my bias. Marisa, is there anything that's coming through you?
I'm trying to like I'm thinking about this longing as candy, or like bittersweet chocolate or bitter hot chocolate. Um, and just sort of like sense like what is the longing analogy for me, because longing is there I do feel like there's something sweet about it, um because it comes like so much of it, at least for me, the longing that I'm identifying with right now is like what comes from like the heart and this place of deep heartedness. And um but sometimes that shit is spicy, or sometimes it can like jab a little bit, and it can feel like um Yeah, I think sometimes the longing can feel like it overtakes, and that's when it doesn't feel sweet anymore, and it feels like I'm overindulging in something. And the like rumination and obsession, like when that takes over, it's like, okay, this is not appetizing anymore. This is out of balance. Like I think longing is like a beautiful part of life and like our hearts and our hearts being open and our hearts being active in the world. But yeah, I feel like when it overtakes and turns into this, starts feeling more like obsession and like where I can't stop sensing into it. Um, yeah, it doesn't feel like candy anymore.
There's something I've been, this makes me think of something I've been feeling the whole conversation, which is that when we talk about emotions, we're talking about like our own experience of the same thing. Like, or the word cannot actually capture the full sensation. And so I say boredom, and each of the everyone on this call has their own whatever that means. And I say longing, and it's like we have they're like closely clustered ideas that we can associate with each other, but actually they're each emotion is uniquely charged for each person.
Hmm.
This is why I wanted to go to grad school to study longing. It's not the answer, but yeah, it's so complex. Within longing, there's like nostalgia, there's there's grief, there's awe or reverence sometimes. There's attachment, that's not really a feeling, but there's hurt, there's loneliness, there's isolation, there's so many flavors of feeling within an experience of longing, maybe same with boredom. I notice for me longing, and maybe this is boredom too, like I so agree and feel that very much in my body too, Marisa, around longing is so a heart experience. Like I often feel it right here. When it becomes really obsessive or ruminating, it's energy that then gets co-opted by here, and it's my brain trying to fix the longing
Mm.
by attaching itself to some idea or ideal that actually the longing has nothing to do with or doesn't have to have everything to do with. I notice my brain will like attach on something else and be like trying to, be on a gerbil wheel about that thing when I make that U-turn to like just how the longing is showing up in my heart, that thing becomes a lot smaller. Like
Mm-hmm.
it becomes right-sized. And then I can alchemize the experience of longing within me to something else. And often I've found when I do that, I find like a lot of erotic energy or a lot of creative energy or a lot of the
Mm.
serenity or I'll like cry or I'll feel the ache really sharply and then it'll sort of like move in a different way. But yeah, I do think based on my experience, those are different things.
Mm. Yeah, that really resonates. Yeah, rumination really does feel like something of the mind that takes over and tries to fix or understand. And yeah,
Because the longing is unbearable.
fix it,
Like the boredom
Yeah,
sometimes.
fix it.
Yeah.
go online, call somebody, pick up a drink, start
Right.
walking. Solange has that amazing song, Cranes in the Sky. I've heard it takes me like four listens to a song to like start noticing the lyrics because I'm paying attention to the rhythm and the beat and then the musicality, the melodies and harmonies, instrumentation, and then I finally get to lyrics. When I first grasped what she was saying, what she was talking about, I was like, fuck yeah, like I didn't know any other pop musician that was actually talking about this shit.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah. What is this? She's like, I wanna drink it away. Something
Right.
like that.
Take it away, run it away, read it away, sex it away. She like ran the gamut. She was like any possible way to,
Yeah.
and it's not going anywhere.
Mm.
Yeah, we can't outrun it. That's for sure, even though we try.
Yeah.
And I can't help but wonder, like, what occurred to me when I said, even if we try, in my brain was like, people build entire empires to try to outrun longing, is my theory.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
like, with the state of the world and the people in the most power within capitalism, it's like, damn, the longings that they're trying to run away from or trying to fulfill or fill or feed. I don't know, but I wonder about
You're
it.
gonna end up teaching this class that you were trying to take.
Say what?
You're gonna end up
So
you're gonna end up teaching the seminar on longing that you were hoping to take.
Well, I am actually facilitating a workshop in a conference coming up called Midwifing Change on longing and belonging. So, yeah,
Great. Do you want to share about the other thing you're
I'd
offering?
love to. Yes. My collaborator Lakshmi, who's also my yoga teacher, and I are facilitating a series called Embodying Shakti, where we sit with the Dasha Mahavidyas, which are 10 tantric goddesses, and we're sitting with their archetypes. Each session we sit with one, and these 10 archetypes span the gamut from Kali, who's the first one, well-known deity representing destruction, and then there are other deities that represent and make holy what is disgusting or decaying, um, what is beautiful, what is abundant. Like they really represent a lot of things. There's a goddess that represents violence and silencing the enemy. Like these goddesses make a lot of things holy that we might want to judge or shame. And so we sit with them, we sit with the art made in their light and sort of like see what's there for us archetypically. And it's always incredibly powerful and fascinating, especially to gain wisdom for the times. Dasha Mahavidyas means great wisdom, in addition to referencing the 10 tantric goddesses. So yeah, we will be doing that. It starts in December. So that's something to pop into or drop into if y'all want. And then yeah,
Go
what's
ahead. I'll say the thing that's funny in a moment.
And then there's a conference organized by folks out of Bloom Consulting. They're based in Canada. Rehana Tejpar is a former jammer. Shilpa will be there. Shilpa's brother Manish will be there. A lot of folks will be there, part of this conference. Yeah, called Midwifing Change, and I'll be doing a session on longing and belonging. So
I'll get links to both of these. So if you're watching the recording and you want to know more, I can just. The
thanks.
reason I started laughing is because I'm in this period where I'm fasting in different ways. Like I'm doing fasting with food, internet, um, uh, some kind of fast that's related to sexuality. I think celibacy is a loaded word, so I don't want to use it here. Um, I'm just playing with what is it like to take a pause on things, and I decided this week that I was gonna fast, take a fast on joining new courses. But then I was like, oh, but Chetna's course is starting, and I really want to join. So I might start the fast after signing up for Embodying Shakti. I need to discern. I need to spend some time with my boredom and get some insight on what's right.
That sounds wise.
So we're
yeah.
just coming to the close of this. Maybe we can each just um, make a statement or say something that feels a good way to complete. And it's not really complete. I feel like there are a lot of seeds planted here, but more than anything. But it also feels really nice to share space and make an artifact of some of the conversations we've been having.
Yeah, I feel really grateful for this conversation. It helped me um, reflect on, process more of what I've been thinking about around boredom and longing. So I really appreciate y'all's shares
Mhm.
and this opportunity to be in public conversation with you, Rishi.
One day we'll have a public conversation theme song. Everyone sings afterwards.
Great. I bet Angela would be good at helping with that.
Mhm. Okay. Thanks, everyone. I'm going to end the recording now. Thanks for watching if you're watching this. And
Thank you both a lot. I'm looking forward to future ones. It was really fun to just kind of listen to both of you. And yeah, grateful for your friendship and that you're both in my life, making it richer.
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah.